Bam. All right. Let's go ahead and give yourself a deep breath in. Just start to relax into your body. Just find your way back here, back to this point of awareness. Maybe there was a part of you that resonated with the story I just told in the sense of having your own experiences, of tapping into that place that's beyond that ego identification or that I self, that separate identity. Maybe you've had a moment of transcending into something more than that identity. Maybe it's as simple as being so immersed in something that you were doing that everything else fell away. Kind of like a kid who's playing in the water. They're just so engaged with their hands or their toy or the rock in the water that they're almost not even aware of their body or the world around them. You're screaming at them to pick up their bag before it falls in or to come back. And they're just there. They're just one with the water, with the experience. They're immersed. And maybe you can acknowledge that part within yourself. And maybe as you start to relax, you start to notice how you've been breathing or holding your body throughout the day. Maybe that's not the optimal way to breathe. Maybe you want to breathe a little bit deeper. Maybe you want to let those shoulders sink a little bit. And just find your center point, wherever that is for you. And you can even feel yourself starting to root down into the earth, starting to ground to your body, to the planet. Maybe there's a visual cue that helps you to do that, or maybe it's more of an intention. You can always use the image of a giant redwood tree trunk connecting to your waist and dropping all the way to the center of the planet, connecting in there at that core, almost working like a big vacuum, sucking down any energy that you've been holding on to today. And can you let your body release? Sometimes we hold on to these aches and pains, anxieties, thoughts, and they're all sitting there. Sometimes they can feel very physical. They can be misinterpreted as physical, but they're just part of that mental, emotional body, that mental, emotional space that's around us. Here in this safe, calm container that's here to nurture who you are, can you release? Can you let go? There's nowhere else to be but right here. Nothing you need to hold on to. That information isn't going to do anything for you. And as you release, I'd like you to start to think about your healing intention or request for tonight. Maybe there's one thing that's really obvious that you want to work on. Maybe there's a few things. Maybe you have no idea and you just want a general boost in your energy level. Just want to walk away feeling brighter. And I want you to just be aware of from where are you in relation to this healing request. What I mean by that is, are you becoming what it is that you want to heal? So if you have a neck pain, are you just totally focused on that neck pain and nothing else? It's kind of overriding your experience, or is it something that you're just aware of, just an observation of? Maybe you're relating to it from a mental standpoint, thinking about it, intellectually trying to figure it out. Or are you in an emotional reaction to it? Are you relating to it on a sensation, feeling level? What if you were to have that healing request, that valid thing that you want to make a shift in, but you were to relate to it from a place of joy? Joy, not because you have a problem, joy, not even because it might get work done tonight, but just joy because that's where you're choosing to be. Here's this thing I want to heal, and here I am in joy. If that's too big of a stretch, you can maybe try to relate to it from a place of peace. And there's a way we can actually do that other than just thinking about it or hoping that it happens. What you can do is you can start to imagine that you, as a little ball of light, make your way to the center of your head, behind your eyes, and in between your ears. And I want you to imagine you're sitting in a chair in the center of your head there. And that headspace is not your intellectual thinking mind. That's not what I mean by it. It's not like when people say you're in your head too much. This is your center where you can observe energy. And so that center can be, bigger than the actual head that you're in. And it can also look like whatever you want. And since we're trying to relate to this healing request from a place of peace, let's make the most peaceful scenery we possibly can imagine in the center of our head. Almost as if we're going on a shamanic journey, but we're just going through a doorway into our own center, right there. And it opens up into that beautiful scene. Maybe it's a nice forest landscape in the mountains. Maybe it's a beach. Maybe it's just a really cozy room. And from that place of peace, can you see an image of a rose out in front of you? It can just be a basic red rose. And I want you to just imagine that the energy of what you're wanting to heal tonight just can go right inside of that rose. If all of that energy of your problem is like dust, this rose can just suck it all in like a vacuum, just absorb it all and hold it there. Gets to be a placekeeper for the energy of what you're wanting to work on. Good. And the final thing I want you to try is, as I go into trance and start to bring in Adamus Saint Germain, what you can do is you can imagine that violet flame that he uses to heal, that he brings in. It was almost like his gift to humanity as he decided to stop incarnating in physical form and be an ascended master, helping from the spirit realm. He gave us this violet flame, and what it does is it is that alchemy. It's that tool for alchemy that we were talking about earlier, where it can take an energy and it can melt it in that flame and transmute it into something else. And so I want you to just imagine that you have a bubble around you, an energetic bubble, almost like an egg shape. And that's your energetic boundary. That's the space that contains you and your energy, those emotions, thoughts, that heart space, your communication space, all of it. And I want you to just see that violet flame burning through your body and through your aura. It's a spiritual flame, it's a light, it's not going to burn you or hurt you. And just see what changes, see what happens. You may notice if that Saint Germain violet flame, as it transmutes those energies, does it bring you more and more into a state of undivided awareness? Does it start to break down those energies that would have you be separate? Hello, this is Adamus Saint Germain. Brandon wasn't so sure about letting me talk tonight. He thinks I'm too chatty, just keep going on and on and on. He was a bit worried that I was just going to teach on to you all night rather than giving you a healing. And he may be a little bit right in that assumption, but there's going to be some magnificent healing that takes place here as well. And so we're going to start by bringing this room up to a high vibration. We're going to bring it up to white per his request. I myself don't need to heal from that white vibration, but he seems to like it, keeps him out of his body. And it brings us to a place where there's a spirit to spirit contact that's happening. For me, I'm in spirit all the time now. So that contact is always here with me. However, what I do enjoy is getting to connect into this body. I enjoy the occasional sip of coffee, chocolate, those things you miss a little bit when you're not on Earth. Yes, and so I see each one of you here with your healing requests that you've laid out in front of you. Seems as if Brandon thought he was wise to have you come up with a request. And while I honor those requests you have, this healing may go beyond what you brought to the table. You may be thinking that there's something that you have that needs healed, but really there's a place of wholeness that can be achieved beyond that. You may hear that as me saying, why did you think so small? I'm Adamus Saint Germain. Do you not have more faith in the ascended master? And so as we bring this space up to white, you can let go of that image of the flame, and you can just start to allow yourself to reach a similar vibration. The first energy that we're working with is this energy of the outside world, the energy of your environment, and how impressionable humans are to their environment, and to the energies that are moving around the collective mind that's holding a lot of fear, that's holding a lot of unconsciousness, that wants to just become unaware, not pay attention to the changes that are happening because they would be too frightening for some. They would be too much to move through for some. But that's because that collective mind is identifying with being their body, with being this limited soul, with a limited amount of resources that are seemingly running out on this planet, which isn't exactly the case. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to heal the outside of that energetic bubble you created. Anywhere where that outside world pressure and that collective mind is pressing in on you, changing the way you get to show up and be within that bubble that you've created. And we're going to say hello to that part within you that goes beyond the collective mind and beyond that body identification. And we're going to help you to release any levels where you were matching or becoming that energy of the world. And sometimes it's not that you become that energy, sometimes it's that you resist that energy. And so you want to just stay in your room, huddled away from it all in your own world. You want to reject it. You want to say, I am not part of this. And that can be isolating too. You can be in this world, but not of it in the sense that it's not creating you, you're creating it. The frequency that makes up your soul, who you are, you're working here in this lifetime to bring that energy down into your body, that infinite, unlimited, massive light, bringing it into this seemingly limited physical form that's playing by different rules. And as that light gets brought into that form, it's being projected outwards through your chakras, you could say, and creating your reality, creating your life experience. But it all starts with you in that spiritual space, commanding how you want that experience to be. And then it trickles down through the different layers of who you are as this incarnated being. And so the next level of healing that we're going to give here is healing those energy centers that we call chakras, clearing up any energy that's keeping you from bringing in that light fully. For some of you, well, for all of you, it looks like that has to do with bringing in your spiritual abilities, your gifts that are your birthright. It has to do with bringing in your accumulation of information of lifetimes. And it has to do with being able to create experiences that you enjoy. And one thing that I like to transmute is this belief that it can't be fun, this belief that it has to be hard, the belief that there is this tension in bringing in that light into that body rather than just being able to allow. Can you know yourself as an ascended master as well? Can you see that for yourself? And can you feel that for yourself? Bringing that closer and closer to that physical reality. And so, one of the energies filling into this space as we heal is this creative power, but this joyful creative power. You get to have fun while creating the life that you desire. And as I watch that energy start to come in, the next layer that it hits is, oh, if you're bringing in what you truly desire, there's all these what ifs, ands, buts, all these different excuses for why you shouldn't give that to yourself, for why you shouldn't walk that path. Energies that you have to bump up into and encounter, things that you have to change or shift. There's less of an ability to hide and avoid the things that you're in resistance to or judgment to. If you're shining that light of who you are so brightly through your body, through those chakras, that's going to be seen, that's going to be noticed. And maybe there's levels of pain that come up around that, being noticed, getting what you want, levels of guilt, levels of needing to hide it. And so we're going to clear that energy out. And just enjoy the moments of silence. See if you can move beyond mental processing and meet us at that place of silence. All right. And Brandon is asking that I pull out of his fifth chakra for the remainder of the healing. He's not banishing me, he just wants to take this in a new direction. So I will stand on the sideline and continue to heal. Hmm. Okay, here I'm back, and I'm bringing us up to another vibration of white, another higher spirit to spirit vibration. And it's just one that sits a little bit above that space in which I channel and let someone talk through me. And it looks important for this healing. So we're going to all go up to that vibration. You just sit and relax and enjoy it. The next thing that I was noticing is this layer of energy that would want to put this fear in your mind, that would say that if you take this next step in your own growth and evolution, that you're going to be alone, that you're not going to have people to relate to, and that you're going to be doing it on your own out in the world. You're not really playing the same games and by the same rules, and you're not holding yourself to the structures that everyone else is, those structures that haven't been serving you. And so that's how they keep everyone there, is this fear that would say you'll be left alone, that you'll be isolated. And you may think that there's a certain level of isolation that you enjoy, but this isolation of really breaking free of the group and getting to set your own path, that's really, really aligned with who you are as a soul and where you want to go on that deeper spiritual path. So I'm going to move in here and start to remove that false belief that would say you're going to be alone. And what that is it's a level of the ego trying to survive. It's a level of that ego needing to be a thing. There needing to be separation. When in truth, all of that energy of all of those games and all of those agreements and everything that everyone's holding on to, it exists within the vibration that you're stepping up into, but it's not limited by them. So you're stepping beyond the games, but it's still all one energy at many different vibrations. And so there is no isolation because there is no separateness. And that's not to say that everyone's path is the same. You still have your own path, you still have your own autonomy, but you're an embodiment of the whole while being that individual. Anyone could sit and be in that wave of pure consciousness, but can you bring that wave of pure consciousness that is in everything while in a seemingly individual separate form? Hmm. Yes. And if you start to feel something uncomfortable come up or something that you're getting stuck on, a sensation, a thought, you can bring in that violet flame and see that violet flame just melting that thought or that sensation away. You could imagine that as a certain color sticking somewhere in your body and the flame melts it. We're just going to go for a few more minutes here. The next level that I want to heal is still on the same path, but it's around your relationships with other people. There's an energy here that's similar to what I described, where you taking this next step up in your growth and your expanding awareness, it threatens these relationships that are in your life or puts pressure on them, both in the sense of as you expand that awareness, that bright light, it shines forth. And so those people in your life, those relationships, they're mirrors. And so anywhere where there's karma, anywhere where there's something you're judging in them, anywhere where there's a hidden lesson, it's going to shine a little bit brighter. But also, their ego is going to see that step up you're taking and it's going to panic a little bit. And they can react in a, you know, unkindly fashion sometimes. And so I'm healing and clearing any energies where you would have to sacrifice your own growth for other people to make them feel comfortable. As well as I'm starting to see energy clearing out of the back of your head around the center where your genetics connect in and communicate with your body. I'm seeing that it's okay to heal anywhere where you've been carrying your family's karma, illnesses, different energies that aren't really yours to work on in this lifetime. anywhere where you're unconsciously becoming somebody you know. It doesn't even have to be family. Sometimes you just encounter a person who comes back in your life, and all of a sudden things feel really chaotic or maybe even disastrous. And there's a level where you're allowing that person's energy or their information into your sphere of information and energy. And rather than it just passing through, rather than you being a neutral observer to it, it's getting caught up. And so you're becoming it to some extent, where it's affecting that light of who you are that's shining out and creating your experience. Now there's a smudge on the lens of that flashlight within that chakra. And so as it shines out, that smudge is casting a shadow. Oh, and maybe that's been happening to you for a long time. Every step forward you try to take, your light's shining through these smudge marks of everybody else's pain, their expectations for you, what they want you to do with your life, what they think is right, everything else. And it's like you're dragging everyone along with you inch by inch. And that can be a lot of work. So we're going to clear that energy. I would have that be stuck. And then we're going to kind of start to wrap up by bringing in this energy of self love, spaciousness, permission to be you and have the experience that you're having. So, a level of acceptance for the present moment as it is. And we're going to clear some energy out of your hearts and your fifth chakras, your communication space, just around where people have disempowered you and when you haven't been able to communicate the way that you want to. So I'm seeing this boost of energy towards your self esteem and being able to know what you like, what you don't like, and to not have to compromise it or change it for others, and to be able to communicate it, to communicate where your boundaries are, communicate what your needs are. There we go. And then the last level of energy that I want to clear is just this slight level of pain and seriousness. Let's bring in some deep pleasure and total joy. And as I finish up my portion of this healing, I'm just watching Adonis Saint Germain in the background. And he's communicating that he's clearing through the psychic airways around you. So helping to increase your ability to tap into your own intuition, as well as he seems to be passing along some sort of good merit. He says that you've all been doing a really good job in your life of showing up, working through things, taking the opportunities that show up for you. And he's saying that, this was a very different energy that he was bringing in par with me, and that he wasn't going to let just anyone be in this space. Um, so he's glad to have you here, and he's kind of giving you all a parting gift. And um, I see that gift really taking place in the astral, in the spiritual realm above you, and kind of permeating down into the rest of your life. So it's kind of like a gift that keeps on giving. And it's almost an invitation to meet with him on that level of the astral. If you ever need a healing or a helping hand or some wisdom, it's kind of an invitation to his master's club, as he calls it. Okay. Thank you, Adamus. I am going to start bringing the energy level back to one that can be more embodied. We can have for longer periods of time. So as I step back into my body, I'm going to bring the vibration down to more of a gold. And you can start to just notice where you're at, having received this transmedium healing. Start to see where you're at in your space. Where are you in relation to your healing request? Did you get that healing request accomplished, or did you get something else? Maybe even notice where your level of awareness is. Sometimes, as we're engaging in life, we can define our existence based off of what we're doing, or what we have, or what dramas are taking place, or what information we're acquiring. What new thing are we learning, skill that we're developing. But what if you could validate your existence just for that expanding awareness that you are? That was one of the gifts that Adamus was bringing forth by being here tonight. And I did say that we would practice one other tool for transmuting energy. So, from your meditative space, you can connect into that grounding cord we were using earlier, or that sense of being grounded, connected to the earth. And then you can imagine that there's a giant golden sun above your head, at least twice as big as your body, but it could even be as big as the room that you're in. And I want you to call back all of your energy from wherever it is. And I want you to just let that energy be transmuted by this golden sun. We can use that gift of alchemy that Adamus brought with him. And we can transform any energy into this bright, nourishing golden vibration that can hold all of the vibrations and let it become just the right elixir for you. What do you want to change it into? What do you want to bring that energy into? Do you want it to be more peace? Do you want it to be more abundance? Do you want it to be more stillness? Let that take place. And then see a hole get popped in that golden sun and all of that energy just pour out, filling you in from the top of your head down into your body, almost like a warm honey that just melts off any other tension, anything else that you're holding on to. And let that gold just fill in your entire body, all the way through your torso, your arms, your legs. If you're really feeling it, you can even let that gold fill in that bubble that we created. You can fill in that space around you. That space around you is not empty. All right. And when you're nice and filled in, you can start to wiggle and stretch gently. If you want to lean your head down to your toes and kind of let any excess energy just drain off from that physical standpoint, you can do so. Now that we're done, if you want to open up your cameras and your mics, we'll do a little share here at the end.